Let's go. Let us look at threats in puzzle position. Pawn takes bishop. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using pawn takes bishop. King takes pawn. h5. King to c3. King to e4. King to c4. King to f3. King to b5. King takes pawn. King takes pawn. King takes pawn. b5. King to g4. King to a5. f4. b6. f3. b7. f2. Promotes to queen. Promotes to queen. Another one. Here are the threats. Queen takes pawn, check. Queen takes pawn. Rook takes pawn, check. Here are the checks. Queen takes pawn, check. Rook takes pawn, check. Here is the solution to the puzzle. Queen to f6. Queen to c1, check. King to h2. Queen to g5. Rook takes queen. Next puzzle, the threats are bishop takes pawn. Bishop takes bishop. Knight takes bishop. There are no checks in this position. Answer to this puzzle is knight takes bishop. Knight takes knight. Bishop to f4. Knight takes pawn. Queen takes queen. Knight takes queen. Bishop takes knight. Rook takes bishop. Rook to f3. One more. Let us look at threats in puzzle position. Rook takes bishop. Bishop takes knight. Here are the checks. Rook to e8, check. Knight to g5, check. The answer is bishop to f1. Knight to g5. Knight takes knight, check. Another puzzle. Threats in puzzle position are rook takes pawn, check. Rook takes pawn. Checks in puzzle position are rook takes pawn, check. Rook to h2, check. The answer is rook to g5. Rook to h1. Rook takes queen. Rook takes rook. Rook to h5. Rook takes rook. Queen takes rook. One more. Puzzle position vulnerabilities are there are no threats in this position. Checks in puzzle position are f4, check. Answer to this puzzle is king to c4. b6. a3. d5, check. King to d3. a5. a4. Next puzzle. Threats in puzzle position are there are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using king to c6. King to c1. Rook takes pawn. Queen to g8. Rook to b1, check. King takes rook. Queen to b5, check. King to c2. Queen to b2, check. King to d3. Queen to d2, check. King to e4. Queen takes rook, check. Next, let us look at threats in puzzle position. King takes rook. There are no checks in this position. The answer is king takes rook. Bishop takes bishop. a4. King to f7. a5. Another puzzle. Puzzle position vulnerabilities are there are no threats in this position. The checks are g5, check. Here is the solution to the puzzle. King to g7. Rook to d8. g5, check. King to e7. Pawn takes pawn. Rook to d3. Bishop to f5. Rook takes pawn, check. Bishop to g6. Rook to g2. h7. Another puzzle. The threats are there are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using king to e4. a4. a3. King to f6. h4. b5. King to d4. Let us go to the next puzzle. Let us look at threats in puzzle position. Rook takes pawn. Checks in puzzle position are queen to g2, check. Rook to g1, check. Here is the solution to the puzzle. Bishop to h6. King to h7. Queen to g5. Rook to g8. Queen takes pawn. Rook to g6. Bishop to g5, check. King to g7. Bishop to f6, check. King to f8. Queen to h8, check. Rook to g8. Bishop to g7, check. One more. Let us look at threats in puzzle position. There are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. Solution to the puzzle is a5. Knight to c4. b7. Bishop to d6. a6. Bishop to b8. Knight to d4. One more. Threats in this position are bishop takes bishop. Let us look at checks in puzzle position. Bishop to c4, check. Queen to d5, check. Answer to this puzzle is bishop to c4, check. King to h8. Rook to e1. Let us go to the next puzzle. Threats in this position are knight takes knight. There are no checks in this position. Answer to this puzzle is queen to g4. Queen to b3. Knight takes knight. Queen takes pawn, check. Queen to d7. Let's continue. Threats in puzzle position are bishop takes bishop. Pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. Rook takes pawn, check. The checks are rook takes pawn, check. The puzzle is solved using pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Bishop to b5. Bishop takes bishop. Rook takes pawn, check. King to f7. Queen to d5. Bishop to c6. Rook to e7, check. King takes rook. Bishop takes bishop, check. King to d7. Queen to f7, check. King to c8. Bishop takes queen. Another puzzle. Let us look at threats in puzzle position. Queen takes pawn, check. Checks in puzzle position are queen to e6, check. Queen takes pawn, check. Answer to this puzzle is queen to e6, check. King to g7. Knight to e5. Bishop to d6. Knight to f3. Rook takes pawn. Knight to g5. Let us go to the next puzzle. Threats in this position are there are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. The best move in puzzle position is g5. King to b6. King to d5. King takes pawn. King to c6. Next, the threats are pawn takes pawn. Checks in this position are g3, check. Here is the solution to the puzzle. King to c4. King to e2. a5. Let us go to the next puzzle. The threats are bishop takes pawn. Rook takes rook. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes pawn, check. Queen takes rook. Queen takes pawn. The checks are rook to g2, check. Queen to b4, check. Queen to c3, check. Queen to d4, check. Queen takes pawn, check. Queen to c1, check. Here is the solution to the puzzle. Queen to d4, check. King to e2. Rook takes rook. Queen to h6, check. King to g8. Rook takes rook, check. Queen takes rook. Next, here are the threats. There are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. The best move in puzzle position is h5. King to e3. King to e5. One more. Threats in this position are queen takes knight, check. Queen takes queen. Here are checks in puzzle position. Queen takes knight, check. Rook to h7, check. Solution to the puzzle is queen to h3. Queen to f1, check. Rook takes queen. Let's continue. Threats in puzzle position are queen takes knight. Queen takes pawn, check. Here are checks in puzzle position. Queen to d5, check. Queen takes pawn, check. Rook to h8, check. The best move in puzzle position is queen to d5, check. Knight to f7. Knight to g6. Queen to d1, check. Queen takes queen. Knight to e5, check. King to g5. Next, threats in puzzle position are pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes pawn, check. Queen takes pawn, check. Rook takes pawn. Checks in this position are bishop takes pawn, check. Queen takes pawn, check. Solution to the puzzle is queen takes pawn, check. Bishop to g7. Bishop takes pawn, check. King to h8. g5. Another one. Threats in this position are rook takes bishop. Rook takes pawn. Rook takes rook. Bishop takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. The checks are queen to h7, check. Queen to h8, check. The answer is bishop takes pawn. Queen takes bishop. Rook takes rook. Bishop takes rook. Rook takes pawn. Another puzzle. Threats in this position are Bishop takes pawn. Bishop takes bishop. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using bishop takes bishop. Pawn takes bishop. G6. Rook to G2. King to H5. King to D5. Bishop takes pawn. King takes pawn. Bishop to B8. Check. King to F6. A7. Rook to A2. King to H6. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.